My name was
forced by her
Cecilia Kane.
stepmother
I
to
woke
take
up
her.
from a daze and found
Sister's
myself
place
wearing an ornate
in an
wedding
arranged
gown.
marriage.
Several knights were
Cecilia
holding me
is
and forcing
drugged on
me
the
into a
way.
carriage.
A mysterious man, Tyson, saves her,
This
and
is
they
Falcon
share
Kane's
one
order. Get in the carriage
unforgettable
now.
night.
Adrian Kane, my
On her
father.
wedding
I couldn't
day,
believe he would do
she
this
realizes
to me.
her
I struggled
groom
and
is
looked
none
into the
other than
distance.
him,
I saw my
and
father
the
bowing
useless
his head,
husband
too
everyone
afraid to look
mocked.
at me. Beside
His
him
true
stood my
identity
stepmother
is
Mabel
far
and
from
my
ordinary.
half-sister Sarissa.
To save her
Cecilia,
dying wet
your father's
nurse,
estate is
she
about to go
enters a
bankrupt.
deadly
The Shaw
competition
family is willing
where
to help us,
Tyson-esque
as
real
long as our
power
two
will be
families
revealed
unite
under
through
the
marriage.
spotlight.
Father, why
In
me
this deal,
instead of Sarissa?
made marriage.
Because father loves me,
Who's
not
actually
you.
the prey?
Everyone knows that Tyson Shaw had a carriage accident. His face is disfigured, and he's weak and sickly. Why would father let me marry a man like that? So in this family, only they are family, and I'm nothing but an outsider. The knights forced me into the carriage. Before the carriage started, Sarissa walked over to me. Cecilia, I almost forgot to tell you something. The drug father put in your drink was only a sleeping potion, but I secretly added a love potion.
Sarissa, I will never forgive you for this!
The carriage sped away. Soon, the love potion began to take effect, and I felt heat all over my body. What am I going to do? The love potion began to take effect. I felt hot all over, and a lustful red glow appeared on my cheeks.
It seems the love potion has kicked in.
Don't worry, I'll help you right now.
The knight shackled my hands and began tearing at my wedding gown.
Hurry up! I'll go after you!
Sarissa. So this was the big gift she mentioned? She wanted to destroy me. The knight kept tearing at my clothes. His filthy hand stroked my face. I was so desperate that I bit my lower lip, bent my knees, and kicked the knight's crotch hard. The knight let out a painful roar, and blue veins stood out on his forehead. He rolled off the seat.
You bitch! Why are you angry with her? I've seen plenty like her. Fuck her, and she'll behave.
I was so disgusted by their filthy words. I took the chance while they let their guard down, and grabbed the reins with all my strength. The carriage lost control and slammed into a luxurious carriage coming from the opposite direction. Ignoring the pain, I climbed out of the carriage and fled toward that carriage. That was my only chance to escape. From behind came the knight's curse.
That bitch wants to run!
I ran toward it with all my strength. Just as I got close, the door was about to close. I desperately shoved my hand into the gap. The door opened. An extraordinarily handsome man sat inside. His eyes cold and piercing. I grabbed the corner of his clothing and begged in broken words.
Please, help me.
Two knights caught up. Seeing the costly carriage, their tone grew respectful.
Sir, we were in a rush to deliver the bride to the Shaw family.
Hitting your carriage just now was our fault.
There was a hidden meaning in his words. Offending the Shaw family would have no good outcome. I shook my head desperately. The potion made it impossible for me to speak in complete sentences.
They want to rape me. Please.
That man looked at me in silence. I was disheveled, my face flushed, my eyes hazy.
Sir, I advise you not to meddle. Offending the Shaw family is unwise. Offend me, and the consequences will be far worse.
He took off his coat and draped it over my shoulders.
Get in.
I climbed into the carriage as if it were a lifeline. The door closed. The carriage drove away. I slumped in the carriage, my whole body burning. The potion was getting stronger and stronger. The carriage headed toward a seaside castle. My consciousness grew hazier. I curled up in the man's arms, my whole body burning. The castle stood by the sea, with bas-reliefs on its outer walls. Only a master craftsman could have built something so luxurious and elegant. The interior decor was even more exquisite. Several famous paintings hung on the walls, a testament to the owner's refined taste. Guards stood everywhere. This man, he was no ordinary person. He carried me into the bathroom and put me into the bathtub. I wrapped my arms around his neck and refused to let go.
Bear with it. It won't take long.
He turned on the cold water and showered me. But even after 10 minutes, I was still burning with desire. Fascinated by the silky feeling of his smooth skin, I could not help but lean my face on his chest. He tried to push me away, but I grabbed his finger, put it into my mouth, gripped it with my plump red lips, and licked his fingertip with my tongue.
Help me.
I threw my wet body into his arms, pressed my red lips against his, and kissed him passionately. His desire was aroused. He had planned to restrain himself, but this kiss gave him a clear taste of lust.
Do you know who I am?
I shook my head. My mind was completely consumed by lust.
Always remember my name.
He whispered in my ear, but I only vaguely heard one word. Reyes. I was not in the mood to think about it. I just kept clinging to him, begging and flirting with him.
I want you. Take me.
I murmured, stripping off his clothes. I looked at his sexy body, and my eyes were drawn to the scar on his waist. I reached out and caressed the slightly shriveled skin on his scar. He tensed up instantly, his breathing turning ragged, his lips pressed against mine. I kissed him back, wrapping my arms around his neck and threading my fingers through his hair. That night, we were both crazy about each other's bodies. The next morning, sunlight streamed into the room. I woke up. I was completely undressed, and that man was lying next to me. I was completely panicked. I saw the blood stain on the bedsheet. I was both ashamed and furious. My torn gown was scattered on the floor. I hurriedly put it on and left all the gold coins in my pocket on the small table beside the bed. I found a piece of parchment and quickly wrote a few lines. I know you're wealthy, but I never fail to pay my debts. We're even now. Goodbye. I tucked the note under the gold coins and tiptoed out of the room. As soon as I left, that man opened his eyes. He had been awake the whole time, just wanting to see what I would do.
My bride ran away again.
He picked up the note, the corners of his lips curling up slightly.
We're even? She thinks this was a paid service? Briar, keep an eye on the girl from last night. Also find out who sent the knights on that wedding carriage.
Just then, Wayne Evans pushed the door open and walked in.
Where did you go last night? Why didn't you marry Miss Kane? The Shaw family is in chaos! I was consummating my marriage last night.
Wayne froze, too stunned to respond for a long moment.
What happened?
He didn't answer. He looked down at the note, his slender fingers gently tracing it.
We will meet again very soon.
I returned to the cottage I rented. I was about to go out and buy contraceptive herbs when I opened the door. My father was standing right there.
Why didn't you get married yesterday? Where are those two knights? What did you do to them?
I don't know, and I don't want to marry anyone from the Shaw family.
The Shaw family came demanding answers this morning. I lied and said there was trouble on the road. So they gave us one more day. If you don't marry him, the entire Kane estate will be ruined.
I will never take Sarissa's place. I stopped being your daughter the day you kicked me out of the house.
So you don't want this ring either?
He held out his right hand. The sapphire ring on his pinky sparkled in the sunlight. That's my mother's ring!
As long as you are willing to marry into the Shaw family for Sarissa, I will give you this ring after 5 days.
Before she died, my mother repeatedly told me to find this ring. I didn't know why she cared so much about it, but I couldn't ignore her last wish. Fine, I agree to marry him. I put on a new wedding gown, got into the carriage again, and arrived at the Shaw family's castle. At the wedding ceremony, the groom was nowhere to be seen.
Why isn't he here yet? I heard that masked loser doesn't want to marry her at all.
Who would want to marry a woman like that? Arrogant and bossy, she changes men faster than she changes clothes.
I clutched my gown, my palms sweating. Those mocking words cut into me like knives. Adrian came to my side and lowered his voice, grinding his teeth.
If Tyson doesn't show today, you can forget about getting your mother's ring.
I bit my lip and looked toward the entrance. Is he coming or not? Minute by minute passed. The mockery grew louder. I was almost in despair. Just then, the heavy door of the hall slowly pushed open. The sound of footsteps thundered in my ears. Everyone turned to look at the door. A man wearing a metal mask walked in, billed. His eyes, why do they look so familiar? That man wearing the metal mask walked straight towards me.
I'm Tyson Shaw. Sorry I'm late.
I took a deep breath and forced myself to stay calm. According to the plan, I had to say my stepsister's name because I was a substitute bride. I'm Sarissa Kane. His eyes behind the mask stared at me. I didn't slip up. Then a man stepped out from the crowd. He was Tyson's brother, Mac Shaw.
I'm surprised Miss Kane is so open, sleeping with another man the day before her wedding. The hickeys are so obvious.
I quickly covered my neck, the marks from last night.
You shameless woman! How dare you do such a thing?
I clutched my gown, bit my lip hard. I couldn't speak because he was telling the truth.
A slut like her, marrying into the Shaw family?
What's the difference between her and a whore?
Those words cut into me like knives. I was about to break down. Just then, Tyson suddenly wrapped his arm around my waist.
I'm sorry. It was my fault last night. I wasn't gentle enough.
The entire hall fell silent in an instant. I was stunned too. Could it be that he was the man I spent the night with? I heard that Tyson Shaw was disfigured, weak, and sickly, so he definitely wasn't that man from last night. Maybe he didn't want to be humiliated, so he covered for me instead. Tyson had already claimed the Hickeys, so no one dared to speak another word. The wedding continued, and the vicar guided us through the vows.
Sarissa Kane, do you take Tyson Shaw to be your lawfully wedded husband?
I looked into Tyson's eyes. He was staring at me.
I do.
After we exchanged rings, Duke Danilo, Tyson's father, spoke arrogantly.
You can stay in the main castle tonight. I don't want you to think I'm not being kind.
No thanks. We're going home. Tyson, are you thinking our home is too humble for your wife?
He lowered his head and looked into my eyes. Tyson ignored him.
Are you willing to come with me?
Of course. You're my husband now. Wherever you go, I go. After Tyson and I finished our wedding ceremony, he took me and we left the Shaw estate directly. Everyone watched as we climbed onto that old, worn-out carriage. The carriage drove away from the Shaw family's castle. The carriage stopped. I looked up. An old, run-down cottage stood before me. The wooden door was full of cracks. The window frames were broken too. This was the home of the Shaw family's outcast.
I was kicked out of the Shaw family long ago. I just worry that you'll look down on this place.
There was a hint of caution in his voice. I shook my head and spoke softly.
I understand. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. Something lit up in his eyes.
The cottage was simple but clean. This was the house Tyson's late mother had left behind. I didn't have a comfortable life since childhood, so I quickly got used to this place. Tyson helped me draw water, and I took a bath in the wooden tub. But after finishing, I suddenly realized I had forgotten to bring my shift. Just then, Tyson's voice came from outside the door.
You don't have your shift, do you? Open the door. I'll hand it to you.
I took the shift through the door crack. He didn't peek. I changed and walked out of the bathroom. I saw Tyson taking off his clothes. The scar on his waist caught my eye. The location, the shape, exactly the same as that man from last night.
Him. Could he be that man from that night?
You've been staring at me for so long. Are you satisfied with my body?
I snapped back to reality. How could it be? He definitely wasn't that man.
Are we going to sleep together tonight?
My face instantly turned red. I still need time to get used to this.
It's okay. I'll wait for you. But remember, you are already my wife.
Just then, someone knocked on the door. A messenger arrived with an urgent letter.
I have something urgent to deal with. You go to sleep first. No need to wait for me. I'll make up for the wedding night I owe you.
He left in a hurry.
I fell asleep alone, a dreamless night. I woke up the next morning and froze. Tyson was lying next to me, and I was curled up in his arms.
Good morning, honey.
Tyson had already prepared breakfast. I never expected him to be so thoughtful.
Do you have to wake up this early every day to cook?
I make a living delivering messages and driving carriages. I don't earn much, but it's enough to support a family.
My heart ached for him. He was weak and sickly, yet he had to work so hard. From now on, I'll be the one to support the family. You stay home and take care of the house and our child.
Then you'd better have one soon. Otherwise, I'll only have you to take care of.
My face flushed again. I'm going out to work. You rest well at home.
Wait.
He handed me a small bag of coins.
This is my savings. I'm handing it over to you for safekeeping. It's not much, but it should be enough.
I don't need—
This is a gesture from me as your husband. Take it.
I couldn't refuse him, so I took it. As soon as I left, Briar arrived.
Sir, the two knights confessed. The person who bribed them to harm the girl called herself Miss Kane.
Miss Kane.
They don't know her real name. They only said she was the Viscount Kane's daughter.
How many daughters does Viscount Kane have? Find out.
He narrowed his eyes, his voice cold as ice.
Banish those two knights from Hoswith. I don't want to see them again.
I arrived at the tailor shop where I worked, Davina. As soon as I walked in, the foreman stopped me.
Cecilia, the shop owner wants to fire you.
Why? What did I do wrong? Before I could ask more, a familiar voice came from behind me. I'm the one telling you to leave. Is that explanation satisfactory? The shop owner Lena walked in, and beside her was Sarissa. It's you.
The gown you made for me is ugly and tacky. It makes me look like a cheap village woman.
You don't deserve to be a tailor. Cecilia, pack your things and leave. Offend Miss Kane, and you can forget about staying in this tailoring trade. I worked so hard on that gown. You're deliberately finding fault just to force me out. So what if I am? You married a loser.
I want you to have nowhere to go.
I heard your husband is disfigured, ugly, and crippled. Looking at that face every night,
Don't you want to vomit? Say that again.
I said your loser husband. I slapped her across the face. You dare hit me? Your mother didn't raise you right. Today I'll teach you a lesson in her place. You're nothing but a bastard born to a mistress. What right do you have to act so high and mighty here? I'll tear your mouth apart!
She lunged at me, trying to tear open my collar and expose the hickeys. I kicked her away.
Just then, the crowd suddenly parted. Tyson came riding up. He dismounted and pushed through the crowd.
CC, come here.
I walked over to his side.
What use is calling over a loser?
Take out the sketch you drew.
I did. He studied it carefully and nodded.
I'll call someone to judge.
It doesn't matter who you call. She's just a third-rate tailor.
Wayne Evans, the heir to the Evans earldom.
What?
Sarissa's face went pale.
You know Wayne Evans?
He didn't answer. He just sent a messenger. Less than half an hour later, a luxurious carriage stopped at the door. The carriage door opened, and a handsome, noble man stepped out.
I'm here. What's going on?
Everyone was stunned.
The heir to the Evans earldom actually came.
Wayne stepped down from the carriage and walked straight to Tyson. His attitude was actually respectful.
Mr. Shaw, what's the matter?
He called him Mr. Shaw. Everyone exchanged glances.
Look at this pattern sketch. Give your judgment.
Wayne studied the sketch I had drawn carefully and nodded.
Very talented. The style is fresh. The cutting method is clear. This tailor has great potential.
Just a third-rate tailor. A cast-out from the Shaw family. What right do you have to boss people around here?
The employees began whispering among themselves. So he was kicked out of the Shaw family. No wonder he wears a mask. I heard his face is ruined.
All of you, shut up!
Lena was afraid of offending Wayne, so she quickly silenced the staff.
Miss, you look cheap in any dress. The problem isn't the tailor. It's your own figure.
What did you say?
Flat chest and narrow hips. Even the best gown can't fix that.
You deformed freak! A disfigured monster!
Sarissa was trembling with rage.
At least we're not deformed.
The atmosphere instantly became tense. Wayne's words left Sarissa speechless. Afraid of getting burned herself, Lena quickly spoke up.
Lord Wayne, this has nothing to do with me. Miss Kane forced me to fire Cecilia. You!
Beautiful lady, are you willing to come to the Evans Earldom's tailor shop for a trial?
I was stunned. The Evans Earldom, a place every tailor dreams of.
I'm willing. You slut! You slept with another man the day before your wedding! What makes you worthy of going to the Evans Earldom?
She lunged at me, trying to tear open my collar. I kicked her away. She fell to the floor, a complete mess.
You're nothing but a whore! Your husband is a loser!
I know my woman best. You have no right to judge. Wayne, throw her out.
Wayne's guards threw Sarissa onto the roadside. Her dress was torn, her face scraped. Passers-by pointed and whispered. Sarissa had never been so humiliated in her life.
Cecilia, for the sake of our years of friendship, please put in a good word for me with Lord Wayne. From the moment you fired me to please Sarissa, our friendship was over.
I turned to look at Tyson.
Let's go.
He took my hand and left without looking back. Tyson held my hand as we walked down the street. His hand was very warm.
I'll go now.
He seems very obedient to you. What is your relationship? I felt that Tyson's identity wasn't that simple. Why was he so close with the heir to the Evans Earldom?
He owes me a favor, so even after I was kicked out of the Shaw family, he can't get rid of me. Who do you think is better, him or me?
There was a hint of jealousy in his voice. I don't know him. In my heart, you're the best.
Then let's go to an inn to celebrate you quitting that job.
That's too wasteful. We need to save money.
Once in a while won't hurt.
He brought me to the most expensive inn in town, Rainbow. They said a single meal here cost a common family half a year's wages.
Cecilia? What are you doing here?
I was about to walk in when a familiar voice stopped me. I looked up. It was Alec, my ex-boyfriend, and his mistress, Leslie. Damn it. Why did I have to run into them here of all places? Who's that masked man with you? A jester? Leslie was hanging on Alec's arm, eyeing us up and down.
Can you even afford a place like this? Don't embarrass yourselves by getting thrown out. Leslie turned to the inn's guard and gave an order. Throw these 2 country bumpkins out. She flashed a gold token and waved it proudly. See this? It's a gold VIP token. Not many people in the city have one. The server glanced at it and was about to speak when Tyson calmly took out a silver white token.
Platinum token? Only 10 of the most powerful lords in the city are worthy of possessing this. My lord, please follow me to the VIP hall upstairs.
What? Impossible! How could he possibly